execution of a system. And is this okay? How about now? Is hello, hello, mic check 1 2 3. Is this fine? Okay. So yeah, debugging is nothing but pausing the system execution and looking at the state and making sure that the system state is in accordance with your understanding of your mental model. And chess is a very good example of an execution model because the board and the pieces. Excuse me, I have. This should help. Yeah. Okay. And chess is a very good execution model. The pieces and the board make up the system state, and every legal move is an instruction, and every move played is a state transition. So yeah, this is debugging. If you are thinking about all the moves, yeah, this is I would say this is debugging. Okay. Okay. But before I'll be talking about debugging in context of JavaScript. And before I can talk about debugging, I need to talk about React DevTool and how DevTool and debugger complement each other. So the React DevTool gives you a snapshot of your render tree. So it's a picture, but there was some, it doesn't tell you how you got that render tree. Okay. So yeah, that's where debugger helps us. And let's try debugging session. I might not be able to hold and do this because this was a hands-on. Okay. So what is a debugging? Okay. Before I need to show you the vehicle that will be using. Yeah. No, it's we don't have a mic holder, and I need to do hands-on, so I don't know how I'll be able to do this. Okay. And then mic hold coming in because I'll be. Hello. Yeah. Okay. So this will be our vehicle, and I don't need to explain it to you because you know what it does. You know what factorial is. Okay. So I can do this. That's an iterative implementation. I can do a recursive implementation. I can do let's say this was from let's say the factorial value is a future. It's a promise. I don't know where it comes from. It doesn't matter. It's an async value. It's a future. So we'll be debugging this, but how do you debug something? Okay, we need to pause the execution, and that's where a breakpoint comes in. So breakpoint is like a marker in your code base where you want the execution to pause, and it's called a breakpoint because it interrupts the normal execution flow. Like normal execution flow would be it continues executing, okay, without any interruption. But with breakpoint, it's not. So when you make a breakpoint and you hit that with execution, the control is passed from the engine to the debugger. So which means we are in control of the execution. And I'll set not this. Yes, and I'll set. Okay. So let's say that I want to debug the iterative implementation of this factorial. I will go to DevTools. Actually, Control Shift R. Yep, I'll go to sources, and in this case I know that the file that I need to deal with is app.jsx. So I'll directly go there. I know there's a handler for onClick for that button, and that is handle iterative factorial, and it's somewhere here. Hello. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'll deal with handle iterative factorial. Okay, we'll make a breakpoint on first line of this function. Okay, and that's a breakpoint. Okay, we made a breakpoint and we'll try to hit it with execution. I'll try to execute this function. And I will, let's say, that is a good number. I'll click iterative, and at this point, the system is paused. Okay, this line hasn't been executed yet. This is the debug panel, and I'll hide it. Okay, for now. Okay, so this line hasn't been executed, and what are the things that we can do at this point? Okay, I can look around. Okay, I can see scope. I can see there's a num local, and that's a local variable to handle iterative function. Okay, so what is this scope, by the way? Not this. Well, scope tells you all the local variables and the state of the system. Not just local. It actually gives you local variables. It also gives you closures. So if you can see input here, that's not local to handle iterative factorial, but that's local to the app closure, and I can expand app, and you can see that input belongs to app. Okay, so okay, num doesn't have a value yet because this line hasn't been executed, and now we want to move. We want to execute this line. And how would we do that? Yeah. You would do that by stepping functions. So stepping functions allow you to control the execution, and if you cannot see, these are the stepping controls. Okay, so this is step over. Step over means execute this line, and I'll click it once, and you can see that num populates with value 10 because we executed that line. Okay. Okay. What are some other things? Oh, you see this. This is called inline debug values, which is very helpful because I don't want to hover over things to inspect their state. And there's one more thing that you can do. You can actually highlight things. So let's say if I want to evaluate this if clause, I can do. Yes, I can select all of this and I can hover on it and I'll get the value. Okay, false, this isn't going to be executed. So I know that when I do a step over, this will go to line 36 and it will. Yes, it does. And at this point, I am interested in factorial iterative implementation. So I can step into. Stepping in is, I want to see, I want to inspect factorial iterative. So you can step into things, and I will do so. And here we are inside factorial iterative. We can see num is populated, which is the argument. Factorial is local to factorial iterative, but it hasn't been populated yet. Okay, I'll try some stepping. We'll step through this quickly. That's factorial. Oh, by the way, when it goes to for loop, which is another block, it makes another block. Like it creates a block. Okay, yeah, whatever. So we can also see the execution order of these three things. Okay, at this moment it's assigning. That's a comparison, and there was valid. That's why it will run the block, and it's a loop. I don't want to do multiple of these. I want to watch values. So what I can do is I can copy this. And I can, I already have that. But yeah, you can do that. Okay, you can paste values because so you have a bird's eye view on the values that are interesting to you. Okay, I can set a breakpoint here and a breakpoint here. So we don't skip over this. Okay, I'll hit play. I can see I and I can see factorial. So I is lagging behind 1 because factorial of 4 is 24. So yeah, in the block, I is lagging behind by 1. Okay, this one. Okay. Okay, I'll keep doing this. Okay, and it will return factorial, which is the value. I'll do one step. Let me go back to this. I'll do one step over, and this will give me the return value, which is pretty nice because it doesn't skip over. It does tell you like that this is the return value. Yeah. And I'll step over. This will set the result, which is a state, by the way. In this case, result is a state, and that means this will re-render app, and I can show you that. Okay. And this is it's calling app. So yeah, it really, yeah, it really internalizes, because you can see that the render is actually just nothing but executing your function or your React component. And I'll do this once, Yeah, thank you. And that's the end. And okay, we don't want to debug React refresh, so I'll just hit continue. And there was, so yeah, this was the whole debug flow. That's what it is. You hit a breakpoint, you inspect state, you make sure, okay, things are working fine, and you move on by stepping. Okay, there was iterative implementation. Let's say I want to see how the recursive implementation works. Okay. I will hit recursive. So I need to set a breakpoint on recursive implementation, which is handle recursive factorial. This is hard, by the way. Nothing can go on. Handle server factorial. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. And I'll try to hit it. Hello. Did I not? Handle server factorial. Yes. Give me a sec. Yes. Where's handle recursive factorial? There it is. This is hard. Yeah, I'll hit it once. Okay. So we are inside handle recursive factorial, and I'll step through some, because you know what stepping is. You know what you can. Yeah. The next thing that I want to show you is okay. This should call itself. It did not. Give me a second, please. Yes. Okay. We will go inside step in factorial recursion. Okay. It exited because I'll show you. Okay. So this will hit. Okay. There's one more thing that you should know about breakpoints. So can you see these indicators? Like, you can set breakpoints at those points, and those are called inline breakpoints. And I can set it to be exact at the return one, which is the base case. So yeah. And since it's a recursion, it will call itself. It will build up the stack, and I can show you what that stack looks like. I'll hit return one. That's the base case, and this is the call stack. So call stack answers where we are in the program and how did we get here. We are inside factorial recursive. The argument is num is 1, which is the base case, and so it can resolve itself. But the other ones are pending. So yeah. So what I expected was when it goes to return, I'll just show you. Yeah. Okay. So num is 2, which is the second last call, and yeah, I expected this to like pop one by one with each return, but it didn't do that because it collapses in one go. So yeah, that was interesting, and I'll show you it collapses in one go because it directly gets out. Yeah. That was call stack. So at this point, you can inspect locals. You can see the call stack. You can evaluate arbitrary JavaScript expressions, which is this. Yeah, you can do that. Yes, but okay. That was factorial, and I'll move on. But debugging might not help you all the time, because with React 18 you have concurrent features. So React can try to re-render some components in the background. So as of now, I believe there's two APIs: use deferred value and use transition, which can which can try to render things in the background. So those renders are interruptible, which means React can do some work and throw that away because some other. So let's say in this case, there's an input and there's some action taking place after input, but that's a lazy render. That's a low priority render. So let's say I do capital S, shift S, it does that. But when I type all of the other ones, let's say I'm faster, okay. So it will actually skip all of those calls for intermediate values, and yeah. So you might not be interested in debugging the intermediate actions, effects for these. Yeah. Okay. And so yeah, that's where debugging doesn't help you. But there's a couple of JavaScript also has special breakpoints that I would like to show you. Okay. I will play this. Okay. So there's something called XHR fetch breakpoints, which is like, okay, if you are making a request to something and it contains some string like this. I have one. Okay. Yeah, I have a call to type it code, and you can break. Okay. Whenever there's a network request and the URL contains this string, you can break. And I'll do that. Yes, it did point me correct. Yeah, that's one. That's XHR breakpoints. I'll talk about DOM breakpoints later because I haven't really used them. Let's talk about event listener breakpoints. Okay, there is which I really did. Let's say you want to intercept all of the on-click handlers on this page, on this website, and you can do that. You can do mouse click, and I have some on-click handlers on my button, and I can try that. I'll do server, and yeah, handle server factorial. It's an on-click for handle server button, and it pointed us right where we wanted to. Yeah, that's event listeners. What are some other ones? Global listeners are for window and document. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Yeah, that's all I have for debugging. If you have any questions here, let me know. Thank you.